The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaraya Productions.
Hello everybody, welcome to Tokucast Reviews, episode 108.
Yes!
Hello.
God, it hurts to say that sometimes.
Uchuu Keiji Gavan. The first of the Metal Heroes. Yes, we did Winspector. No, we didn't do Winspector.
What's Winspector?
I don't know what that is.
It's when you're win inspectoring.
Kenji Oba.
Kenji Oba. This is going to be the start of us actually doing the Metal Heroes because thanks to Metallic fan subs, they've done a lot of them.
Mm.
So we can actually start doing Metal Hero. I think the only ones they haven't done are the ones that I actually really want to watch. The ones that got adapted in the Big Bad Beetleborgs.
The only one that matters.
Big Bad Beetleborgs.
We don't talk about that show. We don't talk about that show.
Oh, we're going to.
But Elvis Presley Vampire.
Yeah, Elvis Presley, Jane Ghost. How could you forget?
Elvis Presley Vampire
fine.
knocked over your chapstick.
Anyway, yeah, Gavin. We're going to do this in a good bad, terror bad.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because this show,
Because trying to summarize the plot would make this the shortest show ever.
Oh, yeah. You fight bad guy.
There be bad guys, kill they ass.
Bad guy organization, constantly sends one monster.
Generic, not trademarked lightsaber finisher. Anyway.
I do have some issues with that, and I will definitely talk about not like that specifically.
No,
just how each fight ends. But yeah,
it was
good.
what, the 70s?
The good,
though?
Kenji Oba.
82, okay.
The good is Kenji Oba.
This man
This man's pretty good.
is amazing. He is great at physical comedy in this show, and physical just action in general.
Yeah,
He's also
physical
very,
acting.
He is also very charismatic.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that's him in the suit, right?
A good portion of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of his own in suit work, which very rarely happens.
Especially in Toku, yeah.
So when it does happen, it's awesome
It's impressive.
And
and impressive.
I think what makes this, especially just coming off of Zubat, which happened just 5 years earlier than the show.
Zuban.
No.
I always think of it.
He's watching him actually do the physicality of the action scenes.
Mhm.
He is so fast.
He
The
is
action
very-
scenes are very quick, and I love that.
Yes, very would agree. In the second episode in particular, there is that scene where he's sneaking around,
Mm-hmm. Which he does quite well.
and this in particular is where it really stuck out to me, just how good of a physical actor he is and how good at stunt work he is.
Mhm.
Where just the way he is able to get from point A to point B, the way he's able to hit his mark, the way he is able to jump, tumble, and roll around a scene with such speed,
Yeah.
and the fact that they're all able to capture it in one take,
Mm-hmm.
and props to the other stuntmen who are able to keep up with him as well.
I mean, I know now.
And yeah, it's really something to watch.
He has his own
For a bit.
stunt action troupe.
Yeah,
So it's just watching him
not uncommon.
do this. I'm just here
Excuse me.
I get it.
We
Even seeing him back.
shall follow you into the depths of hell, our fearless leader.
Even seeing
Spider-Man.
him. What? Just a couple years ago.
He's the emissary of hell.
Even just seeing him a couple years ago in the Gavin movie,
Yeah.
he was just still out there just doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He really doesn't care.
God, I remember when that
he's in
first
great
came out
shape.
and we watched it, and he
Okay.
showed. Yeah, no, I'm just remembering that he wasn't Gavin, quote unquote, in the movie, but he showed up with the Jeep and just
I
opened the
think
door.
through a wall.
I think that's the Gavin standalone movie.
Yeah.
I thought that's
Yeah,
what
that's what we're
we
talking
were
about.
Oh, okay.
That was
he
with
just
the blonde
drove
hair.
through the wall in a Jeep,
Yeah.
opened the door, and roundhouse kicked somebody in the face, and you just fell onto the floor.
I was like,
There's a lot of roundhouses in this show.
I was like, I knew I was gonna love that man from that one. From just then on, I knew it was everything he shows up in, he's amazing.
So
God, he's just so good.
I have another good that I don't think I'd ever say about a show that's old.
What?
I really like the suit.
The suit is very nice, very
It's-
shiny.
It's
Very RoboCop.
it's just simple enough.
It's just simple enough, and it's also just sleek enough.
Yes.
Where the metallic look is very good. They have the right amount of colors to counteract the silver, and the helmet's not too big, and it looks like it was designed more to be functional than fashion.
Yeah.
But then they added the fashion in just for the the sake of a TV show.
And they added the fashion in the right way.
Yes, they absolutely did. It's a very good suit.
They added it in the right way.
Especially for
and
something in the 80s.
You talk about, function over form. It does look nice. It does look very sleek. But the way Kenji Oba is able to take this costume and move with it.
Yeah.
Or whoever the stuntman was at the time is able to move in the costume.
I think that was also part of the design, is to make sure that whoever was in it could move.
Yeah, it does not sacrifice movement at all. Also, you can really, really tell.
Because of the fact that this is the 80s, we actually get, once again, a lot of different locations. And Gavin just standing on top of something extremely high.
They love to put him, like, whenever he does his transformation, or a metamorphosis, I believe. Electroplate. Joe Chuck, as they call it. But not this time, I think.
It's still technically speaking.
I mean, that's what it is, but they call it, but it's called something different. Yeah, but they love to have the villains down somewhere low, put him up on a hill or up on a building or
a bridge in one case.
Or a bridge or anywhere they can get him high up so we can do a low angle shot of him up there with the villains looking up at him. And they love to do that. That they do.
This does have a couple other good, but I want to focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Machiko Soga's in this for one episode as she's the dancer lady.
Yeah.
With the honeybee.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I needed Machiko Soga as a dance instructor in my life until it happened. Just seeing her going over there like this the entire time, so you're like, I love this woman. Everything. Which is why I can't wait until we end up watching Denziman, just so I can see her be Queen Hidorian the entire time. But I love, she has so much energy that she ends up bringing to these roles. And it's just so much fun to see her. Hiroshi Miyauchi is in this for 2 episodes as well. So it's just like,
oh boy,
I don't even care. I'm just happy you're here. He shows up as another space sheriff.
Mm-hmm. There's
he has to be in it.
Yeah. Looking at the production history, there are a couple of things that I wanted to bring up when I was looking this up last night. Gavin's name comes from the French actor Jean Gabin, who was insanely popular in France at the time, and I just think that's kind of a funny coincidence, or just a way that we got there. And I mean, on a personal note, he's the star of my grandma's favorite movie, Grand Illusion. So that's a little personal connection I have there. And this, as it says there. One of the producers told Kenji Oba, if this show gets into single-digit ratings, we're going to axe it. We're going to cancel the show. And, that's it. We're done. And Kenji Oba's like, well, I better be as likable and charismatic as possible then.
And he did it.
And he did. And the show wound up being a huge success.
Just a little background production thing about this. His dad is played by Sonny Chiba, who... It's funny because this is the first time that they were in a show together, and then they go on to be in Kill Bill together.
I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah, his dad's played by Sonny Chiba.
That may have been why Tarantino cast it that way. I guarantee you that's probably why he did it.
Yeah, because Sonny Chiba was the sword maker.
Yeah, he was a Tori Hanzo,
and
I've had Sonny.
Gavin was the guy who
it's so weird you say that. I've had Sonny Chiba on the brain lately, because a movie that he's in, The Street Fighter, is on Amazon Prime now, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in forever. I want to see Sonny Chiba kick some fools in the face. I want to rewatch that, and oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was him.
And their scenes together are very good.
Yeah,
very, very good. I love the scene. Even though it doesn't happen until the last episode, the actual moments that they ended up having were really, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, Kenji, show your acting chops. We're here for you. I think this might be the last good thing. I like the fact that Cherivan shows up a couple episodes before the end as, I guess, a sort of like park ranger-esque person looking out for poachers. And then he gets injured and gets taken off to bird saging. And then he comes back as Cherivan at the very last end of the show to save Gavin. I like that. I thought that was a very good way to showcase the next space sheriff who's going to take over as Gavin got promoted at the end of the show.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I like that. On to the bad.
Pretty much everything else.
Well,
for me,
I think my biggest issue is after we've been having Kenji Oba doing amazing fight scenes.
Yeah.
We get Gavin.
I am not a fan of the editing in these fight scenes.
No, it's very choppy.
It is extremely choppy. And Okay, so in Power Rangers, we had Cal explosions.
Mm-hmm.
We had, it would be like, I'm going to punch you, and then it would be like slow motion, zoom in, explosion, zoom in, explosion, zoom in, explosion, slowed down. This is the opposite of that, wherein we get zoom in, but it's super fast. Mm-hmm. Like, if Matt and I are in a fight scene and he goes to punch me, it would be like impact, and then it would be like psh, psh, psh. But every time the camera would zoom in on every impact, and it's kind of headache inducing because they do it so much. It's
sort of like I was looking.
Just hold the camera still, for goodness sake.
That, and it's weird because I sort of noticed because what was it, last year I ended up watching that thing on Jackie Chan where like they show the reason why they show the close up of the punch after it to give it some weight.
Yeah,
it's like they try to do that, but they skip about 5 steps.
They skip about 5 steps, and half of the weight is not only just coming from the impact you see, but the noise it makes.
Yeah, it's not one thing; it's everything holistically.
And they thought it was, and it seems like Gavin thinks it was like 1 or 2 things.
Or rather, their production.
The fight scenes are extremely frenetic and extremely hyperkinetic. They move very quick and they hit really fast.
Kids don't have an attention span big enough to keep watching.
I don't think that's it. I think it's that they wanted to make it they wanted to make it fast, and they wanted to make it exciting, and they wanted to make it look cool, and this is what they came to.
It might be a time thing because
it also could be a time thing
at the time.
It could have been popular.
Even then, Jackie was just out there sort of doing his thing. Do the punch first, and then show the close up of the punch, and show the weight behind it. But then we end up having something like you just mentioned. I'm sitting here like, what's happening?
But do we need to see it 3 times in a row every single time?
Yeah. It's just one of those.
It's not every single time, but it happens enough. It'll happen multiple times throughout a single fight, and it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
And it gets distracting.
There is one other thing I do like, but it sort of also bleeds into the bad territory just a little bit.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the double monsters being like infiltrators into society, or just like, we're going to take over this person's body, or what have you. I like the fact that they were just sort of pushed into that, and then they work from there. It does get a little bit tiring in some cases, especially when, this is the terror bad thing about it though, when it starts focusing on the kids. But before we get to them, because, another bad thing, I hated the comic relief character, the photographer.
We've had worse, we've had better.
We have, and I could definitely tell there were some things that were, definitely a product of the time.
Oh, yeah.
But his character just didn't always feel super necessary. Like, actually, a good portion of the time that he was there really didn't feel that necessary. Yeah, he's no more so good.
Ooh, excuse me.
A lot of kid actors in this show.
Ooh, let's go into a Teraband. All right.
And there was one episode, I think it was episode 5, the one with the kids in the cult. That episode...
That was a noise.
That episode I actually that episode I actually kind of liked. If only the kids were better actors.
Yeah.
Because I noticed this a lot with Japanese kid actors more than I do with other countries, but it seems like they are locked in a state of mind where we're going to say every line at one singular volume.
And then Daskete.
And then finish it up with Daskete.
Yeah, it's like you have here,
or
you go up, and then Daskete.
Or the name of the hero, or whatever.
Come on!
But yeah, it's just like Daskete! And that's like every line.
I'm sitting here like I'm missing Zubat where the kids blew up.
That knew how to treat its kids. Rigged them with explosions.
That fucking doll spinning in the air from the boat is probably still one of the best things I've ever seen.
It's the little things in life. And there's a lot of kids in this show.
Which is why when you texted me that one time, and I told you I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is a show. When the show does not focus on the children, it's usually quite fun. Because it focuses on the best person in the show, Kenji Oba. But when the kids start coming in and start yelling and start doing the Dasketes, it's just, I don't want any of this anymore. Make it stop, Maria. Make it stop. They're the worst part of the show. And it sucks because a lot of the earlier episodes focus on them and you're just like, why?
Another
Another thing. this is sort of my thing with the fight scenes with Gavin. Not to mention just hyper punches. But I hate the fact that Gavin only has one finisher.
Yeah.
Gavin dynamic, and that's it.
But that's...
It doesn't give any... Like, I'm not coming at this from like, oh, we need a whole bunch. But even the original Kamen Rider had both Rider Kick and Rider Punch, Rider Throw, Cyclone, whatever, what have you. V3 had 53 tricks. These are the things that V3 does. Like flying. But Gavin just has Gavin dynamic. I'm sitting here like, you have a dragon. Use the dragon.
I mean, you got a point. But I get where you're coming from. But then we also complain about how Kamen Rider these days have too many finishers.
There needs to be a balance, yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be a
balance.
balance.
This is just one of those things where I'm just...
balanced as all things should be.
It's just one of those things where it ended the same way every single time. So it's just like,
Do you think it's more of a... I was going to say, do you think it's more of a time thing, but also we have some of his contemporaries having more than one, but... I can't know, like, do you think it came down to resources in this case, or...
I was thinking resources or budget, yeah.
It might have.
They only...
Because they would just...
Well, let's be fair, they had to dedicate a good portion of their budget to let us know that every time he transforms, we have to stop, rewind time, and the narrator has to let us know that Gavan no wa Espadearu.
I knew that joke was coming.
And you still say...
I knew the joke was coming.
And he still laughed at it, that's all I could
if it wasn't for Kenji Oba, this show would not be nearly as watchable as it is.
Fuck no, it wouldn't be.
It's fun watching him do the thing, but when it comes to the actual, like, oh, we're going to be in suit now, it's going to be the same thing 90 every time. He slashes a doll in half, and the doll either splits with a whole bunch of sparklers coming out of it, or it moves to a different model, but they blow it up at the very second that the frame moves over, so you can't tell it doesn't like the...
We have to keep going to that alternate dimension to fight the monsters.
And he has to call his scooter.
Which he has to ride on the hood of. Because sitting in it's for losers.
I have a sidecar. Do you have a sidecar?
Guys don't look at explosions.
My sidecar is a sidecar. I ride on the hood.
Yeah. Like, sometimes we'll get something a little bit different. The monster will grow, then it'll shrink, and Gavin dynamics all over it. And then it's just like, I just want something different when he ends up coming to something like that. Maybe Sharavan will end up having something different next time, because that's going to be the next Metal Hero we're doing. We're just going to start going order with that. Because, yeah, why not?
What else is there to do?
A lot, actually. But yeah, this is just one of those ones where I'm sitting here like, all right, I get it. This is what you're going to do. Gavin dynamic. The fight's over. It was always a lot more interesting.
Slash.
It was always a lot more interesting to watch all the action that happens beforehand. And then we get to that, and I'm just like, I can skip this, and nothing will happen. Even Don Horton is getting laser bleeding to the face.
Excuse me.
Also, really wish they would have done something a little bit... I think this might just be a sign of the times, because this is a couple years before Bioman, when things got a little bit more story focused on the Sentai side, at least. But it's the same production company, where we end up having not so much of a story in some cases. And that definitely happens here.
There isn't one. I mean, there is an evil bunch of bad dudes get an evil crime.
But the thing is, they set it up so it's like,
come to Earth and wreck some stuff.
They set up so much stuff where I could see, like, you can make this go somewhere. Like the evil space sheriff who ends up signing on with Don Horror gets launched out into space.
They bring him up in the first episode.
Yeah.
And they never really go anywhere with it.
Then they do, and it's just like, because of the fact that Don Horror's son is here and I don't like him, I'm going to go ahead and send this thing over to Mimi, who we haven't really talked about, but who cares. I'm going to go ahead and send this thing over to her, and then she can tell Gavin what the plan is, and then I'm going to get launched out into space.
Oops.
And then his son doesn't do anything. His son, I feel like you could have had the evil space sheriff come back, have this whole thing with the son, one of them kills the other. That's an easy setup for something much more grandiose than what they gave us. The next time we end up seeing him is the space sheriff's end up picking him up, bringing him back. We find out where Gavin's dad is, and then he dies. I'm just like, there was so much potential, and I think that's the thing that sort of upsets me the most. The fact that there was potential there, and it was not explored.
Anything else?
I'm not going to say don't watch this show, Because Kenji Oba does make it that much more interesting to watch.
For this one, I will also say this show is available in its entirety on YouTube.
Yeah.
On Toei's official channel.
Not all the way subbed.
Not all of it's subbed. I think only the first 2 episodes are subbed.
Yeah, but MFC has done
give the first 2 episodes a shot. They're on YouTube for free, so if you want to see if you like it, go ahead.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would say. I typically always have like the 5-episode rule for shows of this length, and if
it's 1.
No, I'm just saying
I'm talking about my personal rule. You continue.
I don't think you can really judge an entire show based off just the first episode,
especially when it's 44.
First episode doesn't hook me. I'm out.
But it really depends on the length of the show. If it was a 12-episode, like one season of anime, I would say no more than 3. If you're not interested after 2 or 3, you can bounce out.
It's your own.
There's no way if a show of that length can grab you in 1 episode. In terms of, now Gavin is different because it didn't have a story, but you can't really portray all the story it wants to tell in the 20 to 40 minutes it has.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's my thing. I say give this at least 3 to 5 before if you were like, yeah, it's not for me. Because after about the 4th episode when he did the same finisher again, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a grind. But I do
just watch everything up to the Gavin portion, or rather, up to the electroplate portion.
I do it for you.
Don't watch it and do something else.
And then skip over.
Do something more fulfilling.
If what we have told you about the show makes it seem like it's not your thing, then don't watch it.
Metal Hero is an interesting.
We all have the ability to make up our own minds.
Because I can see where they went. Because Metal Hero's over now, but I could see where a lot of the stuff that was in Metal Hero got integrated into Rider
and
Sentai after as the shows kept going along. It's sort of an interesting one.
Kenji Oba being one of them.
Yeah, he's just in everything. But it's such an interesting one because of the fact that Metal Hero is the one that we've started that has actually ended. It's like this series,
it's done. They don't make it anymore.
Yeah.
Aside from those movies back in 2011, 2012, whatever it was.
Which we'll be doing at some point. To give us a movie week, because it's been a little bit since we've had one of those. But yeah, that's the end of this one. Next time. Alright, here's the thing, because I remember when I actually used to update the schedule.
Back in days of yore.
Yeah, back in days of yore.
When you carved it into stone tablets.
I mentioned another show that I wanted to start because it's a trilogy, pretty much. We're going to start Grand Saucer next. It's made by a completely different company. It's actually made by the same people who did Ryukendo.
Oh.
I know. I'm fearful too. But, yeah, we're going to start that series next. We have Grand Saucer, Justerizer, and Saucer X. So we'll be doing that in place of Garo, since we're pretty much done with that for the moment.
What's it called?
Grand Saucer.
Grand Saucer?
Saucer.
Got it.
C-E-R. But yeah, that is what we'll be doing next.
We can spell it for you later.
Let me see, because that'll actually be on the 20th. So the week of the 3rd, there will not be a review. Rather the 4th, there won't be a full review that week because my birthday is that week. So I'll be taking the week of the 28th to the 3rd off.
Those are suits. Sorry. I looked up Grand Saucer.
But yeah, so join us next time. Let us know what you think about Gavin in the comments below. Let us know what you think about Grand Saucer and Charaban in the comments too. Yeah.
But as always, follow us on all the things, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.